What's up, everyone, and welcome to the 20 into 30 podcast with your host, Evelina.
And Luke. Brad, even though you said don't use surname, I just threw it in there. I thought I'd speedball it,
Should we keep this or should we redo it?
This is us. People have got to deal. If they're going to listen to us on a Monday, right,
Yes.
It's going to be chaotic. This is
It
who we
will
are.
be. Yeah, and it's still a learning curve. This is the second episode of our podcast. If you haven't watched or listened to the first one, I highly recommend you to go and do so because you're going to get a better idea of what you're getting yourself into.
Something slippery.
It's just weird. It's just
Before we go on, we should talk about, so we got some feedback for you guys. So obviously we preach that everything you do, instead of feeling like you have to iron everything out, just start somewhere.
Yeah.
And we are proof of that with our podcast. Currently, we are just starting from scratch. If you're looking for a podcast with sound that has the sound of a 1940s radio, currently we have it. We have that. Okay. But we know we need to improve on our sound and many other things. So we asked for people's feedback, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. And it was funny.
It was funny. Your friend's feedback was the funniest.
Yeah. Shout out to Alex. That was hilarious.
What was it she said again? God.
I can't remember. We should have this ready.
It was something like, I'm pretty sure Luke is like a family-friendly adult entertainer.
Yes.
Something along
That's
those
the
lines.
vibe. That's the vibe we got so far. We got very good feedback from our friends, but funny feedback.
Martin, and I don't want to throw him under the bus, but he gave me a week of it this week. Okay, one of the words he described me as. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
One word. He said, cringe. That's what he said to me. I was like, that's hurtful. And then, do you know what he said? He said, "Eat cookie."
So, guys, this is what you can expect. This is the two feedbacks from our closest friends, and I'm not sure if it's looking well. Like, for me, it is. I got only good feedback. I don't know what we're going to do with you.
I was expecting worse, to be fair. Martin's was the worst. And then yesterday, he spent all night. I rang him up because Friday night I tend to talk to my friends quite a bit because I'm not really doing much in the evenings. So I speak to my friends and I rang Martin up and he's like, I was like, what are you doing? And he was like, I'm just, playing this game at the moment. He's having a good time. I said, I'm a little bit bored. And he went, why don't you go and eat a cookie or a muffin? He literally trying to get me off the wagon hard, right? And I said to him,
dear.
I'm going to call you out tomorrow on the podcast, Martin. He went, no one will believe you.
That is also true. But should we just dive into today's topic, what we're going to speak about, why people are here?
Well, first, I haven't spoken to you all week. So how's your week?
Very good point. It's just me being very excited. This is so typical me. I'm so impatient, aren't I?
Well, I wouldn't say you're impatient. You just have a lot of ideas.
My week has been good, actually. It's been very intense and stressful. On top of this podcast launching project that's going on, I also have 2 other projects and I'm working full time. So, and I'm back at the gym. Like, the gyms are open here. So it has been full on.
I saw your post and I was like, oh man, we are 1 week away from being able to go back to the gyms. And I'm super stoked. I can't wait to go back.
I can imagine. What's going to be your first session at?
Legs.
Really?
100%. I've literally, because obviously at home I've got a chin-up bar and I can do on a chair and I can do press-ups and I can do jogging on the spot and I can do lots of sort of HIIT stuff, but I've got nothing to do for legs. So for a long time, I was just using like a weighted bag and just doing super loads of squats, but it's just not the same as being able to get your legs properly trained in a gym.
No. If you lift heavy and then you go into body weight squat, that's just a warm up. I like, no offense for everyone who is at that level, but I know Luke's level, and it's a warm up for you, if even.
This is the thing, it's all personal to you. If a lot of body weight squats, and it depends on obviously what you're trying to achieve, but if that's obviously what you do and that's what your body is getting accustomed to and building upon, then that's great for you. But for me, I was really trying to work my legs up. It was one of my lagging points, one of my many, and I was just starting to get some movement in it, and then obviously the gym shut down.
You're gonna get it back.
Oh 100%. Yeah, 100%. I'm super pumped for it.
Yeah. How's your week been otherwise? What have you been up to?
It's been good. We didn't say though, you also had the last podcast we had, we didn't mention about your other thing that you have, the other company that you work with.
Yeah, so I'm freelance as a health coach, and I'm providing my service, maybe could be the right term. It's not going to sound as dodgy as when you speak about your business, because I'm open what I'm doing. Providing my service as a health coach for a wellness company in the UK. So it's like a membership platform where you can just access everything wellness, from fitness, mindfulness, health coaching sessions, from your phone. So that launched 2 weeks ago. So it's been intense, but only fun stuff.
It's always good to have more than one thing going on. I think it keeps you like active and busy and motivated. Yeah. When you're doing the same thing all the time, it can become, I know with me, you know what I'm like, I have to have new things going on all the time. And if I don't, I get very bored. And when I get bored, my productivity is not great. So I have to always have something new. So you're the same, you've got a lot going on. It's all going really well. Good things. I'll keep watching the Insta stories that you've got going on. And yeah, I saw you were doing some yoga on the beach this morning.
Oh, it was amazing. There's something I learned after living in London. I need to take time and just like zone out sometimes, because I think that's one thing that both you and I share. We are very driven and very action taking people. So I'm a person who can completely forget to sleep and just chill. I can work 24/7 without doubt, and then I crash after a while. So listening to I'm following my own mistake I done in the past, and just this morning I needed sunrise yoga and meditation down by the beach. It was blissful, amazing.
It looked really good. It did. I think, like you say, one of the things is it's sort of fashionable to seem like you're really busy all the time now, especially with on. And I think, okay, that's great. And it's good to be doing new things and challenging yourself all the time. That is fantastic. I push anyone to do that. That is great. But also realize, as you say, you do need time to relax. And that is also okay to do that.
Exactly. Because otherwise you're going to live only in your mind. You're going to live in the future the whole time, but you forget about the present moment. And I think both you and I, at the start of our business journey, we were very much like, you can't waste a single day. Every day wasted is one day lost to reaching your goal. And we just come so far from that mindset. Today, we are more zen.
I'm working on it. You haven't seen me after 3 cups of tea.
No, I usually hang up then because you become annoying.
But also in this week, have you know that NASA brought out a new star sign? Did you see that?
Really?
So they brought out a new star sign. Don't ask me to pronounce it because I've tried and I can't. However, I find it funny because are you into star signs?
Yeah, I love it.
So, for example, your star sign now might have changed, right?
Really? No, I don't like that.
This is my point, right? So I'm not into star signs at all, other than the fact I'm a Taurus. I'm like, yeah, I'm a bull. Look at me. But clearly I'm not a bull. But my point is, right, I don't pay attention to star signs. But it was funny that I had this weird feeling Now, this might be I'm a bit hypocritical because I'm not bothered about star signs until NASA tells me there's a new one and I'm no longer a Taurus, I'm an Aries. Then,
You kidding?
all of a sudden, I was bothered. I was like, I'm not an Aries. I'm nothing wrong with Aries. I was like, I'm not an Aries. I'm a Taurus. I'm a bull. I've got horns. I don't have horns. But do you know what I mean? It's funny how I actually was a little bit attached to something that I thought I wasn't attached to until
That is
someone.
so funny.
I'm not that sign. However, Martin said to me, he said, I feel sorry for all the people who have had star sign tattoos. And then,
Very good point.
this is my point. Yeah, I didn't know that. And I was like, actually, Martin, well done. If he hadn't have told me most of the day to go and eat cookies, I probably would have praised him for that.
Yeah. Oh my God. I kind of want to hang up now so I can look up my star sign.
You can't look up your star sign. You can look up after the show.
Yeah, I'm going to look it up after. I love my star sign. I'm a Sagittarius. It just fits me very well. I feel like someone's going to take away my identity. Do you understand?
Like I say, I think I'm a bit hypocritical on it because I thought I wasn't bothered until someone told me I wasn't that star sign anymore.
It's just because we speak about it all the time. Do you know what I mean? Even if you're not into the topic of horoscope and star sign, it's still, you still know. Everyone knows, and everyone kind of have a vibe of the rules and guidelines that comes with this topic. Even though you're not into it yourself, you're very well aware about it.
Well, it's funny because people used to say, "Oh, what? You're very stubborn. What star sign are you?" And I'd say Taurus, and they go, "Oh, that makes sense." I'll be like, "Ha, 1-0," because it doesn't anymore, does it? You know, can't say that anymore.
Well, what month is it?
What month is what? Sorry,
The new star sign. What month is it falling on?
pretty sure it falls around November, December.
November, December. Oh no, you're joking.
I'm pretty sure it does. And so it pushes everything out a bit. You know.
But I'm in December.
I think that you will be changed then.
Could I even be the new star sign without knowing it?
I didn't want to say anything, but this is my way of telling you I actually remember your birthday now. And yes, you are the new star sign. No, I actually don't know.
Okay, we're gonna look it up later. I feel like this is really like, I don't know. I'm very confused.
Also,
I didn't expect this.
I found out one other thing this week that blew my mind. So, you know, when you're typing on text,
Yeah.
and you put like an emoji.
Yeah.
Well, I always used to search through all the emojis to find the emoji that I wanted.
Oh, bless you. You don't know it can come up by writing the word.
Wow. Yeah, that's what I found out this week. So anyway, let's move on to today's topic, which is Australia.
Yes, we're going to go back to the start. How we met, the start of our journey and leaving the comfort of our homes, the place we were raised.
So let's start with the why. Why did you go to Australia? What was your reason?
So let me see. I always loved traveling, and I have the biggest bucket list of places I want to go to in the world, and I've been building that for as long as I can remember. And one of my big goals was to go scuba diving in the Barrier Reef down in Australia. And I guess I was getting a little bit restless because I get very easily restless. This is one of my, can you say weaknesses or traits? I don't know. And I was living in Sweden, and a friend of mine, my oldest childhood friend, she went to Australia, and she's like, you should come down. And I just did. I just booked a one-way ticket down to Australia so I could do my scuba diving and also see a little bit more of the world.
So how old were you when you went?
Well, it was 2012. I looked this up. And so I was 21. So
Okay.
it was also a way for me to improve my English, because at the time, oh my God, you should have heard my English at that time. Literally, you wouldn't understand me. It was horrendous.
You wouldn't understand my Swedish either, but I didn't want to show off, so
No, we spoke about this. You can't speak Swedish.
I can't I can barely speak English.
Yeah, but that's why I went. Number one was to scuba dive down in Australia, then practice my English and also see a bit more of the world.
So going from Sweden, what
Mm.
was your process? How if someone was looking to go to Australia and they lived in Sweden, what is the process? Do you have to get a visa? Do you have to have so much money? How does it work?
Yes, you need a visa. I was lucky because my friend was already a step ahead of me, so she could help me out with the process and how to do everything. But basically, I went on the Australian website and I just applied for a tourist visa. No, I did not. I applied for working holiday visa, and I can't remember if you need some money in your bank account. I think you do. Um, but I was planning to be away for 6 months, so I was quite sorted that way anyway. But just applied online, and then I got it through like a couple of weeks later. It went very fast.
Yeah, so similar sort of story. My end. I was working a job, and I remember when I started the job, I was like, yeah, I want to do this job. I want to do it forever. I want to be the longest person that has ever done this job because I was really young when I got into the role and into the organization. I was like, right, I'm going to work my way up. I'm going to be there for ages, blah, blah, blah. And then 3 years later, I was just like, there's so much more out there that I need to do rather than stay in one place. And I loved the job, but myself, like you, very similar, I just got restless as
Mm.
hell. And I was just like, I need to go, man. I need to do. So I remember one day I was driving in my van. I was at these lights and I was sitting at these lights. And I was just staring at these lights. And I just remember as the light went, like, it sounds really corny, but as the light went orange, green, I was just like, I'm going. And then within a month, I was gone. I was in Australia. But it's similar with you. We had to apply for a holiday working visa that is done on STA Travel. Came through within literally like a couple of days. That then gives you a year in the country. Cost, I think it was about £100 or something like that. You had to have 3,000 Australian dollars in your account, and then booked a flight one way. And yeah, just went out. But I flew out in 2013, so a little bit after you.
Yeah. And why did you pick Australia then? Because you can get a working holiday visa in New Zealand. You can get one in Canada if you're European at least. Why Australia?
I've always had a thing for Australia since I was like, God, 12. I don't know why I always had this thing. I used to watch The Crocodile Hunter when I was a kid, and he was like a really, vibrant character. He had so much energy, and the way that he brought things across, and it just made everything that he was talking about and the places that he was really appealing. And then as I got older, I looked more into the country and, where like places like the Great Barrier Reef and the wildlife and things like that. And I was really into reptiles at the time. So that is sort of why Australia was on my radar, was because I was really into my exotics.
Yeah, that makes sense then.
So like a month later, I was in Australia. You were in Australia before me. Where did you start?
When did I what? Sorry.
Where did you start?
Oh, in Cairns, so at the top.
Outside the top.
At the top of the, let's see, not the East Coast. So if you haven't been to Australia, it's at the top of the East Coast, kind of.
So how long was that flight? That would have been a while to go to the top, no?
Yeah, but I flew straight there.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So I didn't stop anywhere in Australia before. I flew straight there. Obviously, I stopped in other countries on my way, but my flight was to Cairns, so it was quite handy. But it was very. I remember the trip so well, and I actually journal at the time just to document everything. But I started my journey in Denmark, and I'm from the south of Sweden, so flying from Denmark from Copenhagen. Not Copenhagen. Yeah, Copenhagen. It's a very international airport. So I flew from there over to London, and then from London to was it somewhere, I think China, and then to Australia. And it was a 32-hour flight. It was my first flight ever. I've been
Oh, no.
flying by myself.
I didn't know it was your first flight ever.
No, not like by myself.
Oh,
I've been
sorry.
flying before. I've been overseas before, but always with my family. And this was on my own, 32 hours on my own. And I was so nervous. I was so scared. I could hardly handle the language. And it was like on one flight, off another one. I was just listening to not podcasts, like what you call them, audiobooks the whole time. And oh, I was so nervous and so excited.
I think it shows though, like even though you were like that, I think you would say it's probably one of the best things you ever did because it then led you on to all your other travels and you've done a lot.
Hands
And
down. I don't regret it for a second.
but it shows that sometimes just putting yourself in that real discomfort, it pays off massively in the long run. Maybe not short term, but you got to think long term, like you say, like a 5-10 year plan.
Yeah, exactly. I would not be where I am today. I wouldn't be meeting the people I met. I wouldn't see the places I've been to if it weren't for that. Let's jump on a one-way ticket by myself, fly to Australia. And though I had my friends down there, so as soon as I got down, they helped me out with like booking a cab and stuff because that's when I stopped speaking English. I was so nervous speaking English. Both my friends, they were like top A students in English, and we were sharing this room with 3 Americans, and they were English teachers. I was quiet for a week. I'm like, I'm not gonna make a fool of myself. I'm just gonna be quiet. To have to order my food and book my hostel and everything. I was just no, not speaking.
Well, you did well because putting yourself, like I say, on that plane on your own, first flight, long flight on your own. My flight was 19 hours. We had a little stopover for like half an hour. And I was also with my friend Martin and Mitchell, who came with me because we went down after I decided, we went down the pub one night, got drunk, which we usually do like most Friday, Saturday nights, but it just sort of got in that routine where you will going to the same place on the weekend, like the same few spots. And I went down there and said to them, right, I'm going to Australia in a month. And then it was pretty much, sorry, let me change that. After I literally decided I was going to Australia, my friend Mitchell rang me and he was like, what are you doing? I was like, not much, just at work, blah, blah. He's like, oh, anything new? And I said, oh, actually, I'm going to go to Australia in a month. And he was like, why are you going to do that? And I was like, well, I just feel like I need to go. So he like hung up after our conversation, rang me back about an hour later. He's like, I'm coming with you. Right. So
Oh, that's cool.
he was just like, I'm coming. So I was like, sweet, bro, come. I was like, I'm cool with you coming. It'd be awesome to have you there. But just know that I'm definitely going in a month. So if you want in, you're in. If you're not, that's cool as well. It's your decision, right? Went down the pub that night because it was like a Thursday or a Friday, sorry. So it would have been a day or two in between. Went down the pub and Martin was there. We had a few drinks and we convinced Martin to come with us too. And that is how the three of us ended up going to Australia. But so you did well. You did that distance all on your own, a long flight. I had 3 people with me in the end. And like I say, a much shorter flight, and also you couldn't speak English as you said well, so that's awesome. Like to be able to put yourself in that position. But I agree with you that I don't think I'd be where I am today with my business and my other projects I got going on, and that if I hadn't gone to Australia. And also I also put credit to my partner at the time, who actually before I went to Australia was really encouraging me to go, even though she knew I was going for a year and that would be hard, but she encouraged me to go. So
That is so kind. I do the same actually. I put the credit to my partner at the time for letting me go. It's even if it broke us, I'm very thankful for him just letting me being young and doing what felt right for me without stopping me.
100%, I agree. I'm still very friendly with this lady. She's super cool. I was speaking to her last night. She's just always makes me laugh, always makes me smile, and she 100%. I still give her credit to, and I see her here and there. We don't see each other as much because obviously we've got our lives and things going on, but we do catch up here and there. And I always say to her, I say, I give you credit for a lot of where I am now. She pushed me, and liking someone and having strong feelings for someone doesn't necessarily mean you should have that someone right next to you. It's wanting the best for them.
And that's the thing that makes you, that's like the most unselfish thing you can do. If you truly like someone, if you truly have feelings for someone, letting them be who they need to be and do what they need to do, it's the most beautiful thing you can do. You can't hold people down because it's just going to bounce back and be negative. Like, she letting you go have created a relationship that you have today, being really good friends.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's an awesome girl. But so, right, let's get to a point. We're in Australia. Okay, we said why we went and how we went there, and sort of give people some information. Let's talk about what were some of the jobs you did when you were out there, because I remember when we met, you were working in the hostel, weren't you?
No, when we first met, I worked in a bar actually. Then I worked in the hostel later on.
Second time, wasn't it, actually, when I came back?
Exactly. So my first year in Australia, I kind of traveled around. I went from Cairns to Melbourne. I went to Perth. I traveled up the coast a little bit, and that was around after I done my duties to get my second working holiday visa. I went to Brisbane, and that's where I met you.
Let people know what they'd have to do to get their second year, because I knew how to do it, and I wish I had done it. I really regret that I didn't do it. Yeah, I wish I'd done it. I did. I tell you I spent a couple of days on a coal farm, and I was like,
yeah, I remember that. I remember you were leaving, or planning on leaving, but then you end up going back home instead, weren't you?
Tell people how to do it, and I'm going to tell you my coal farm story afterwards.
Okay, so traveling around in Australia, if you want your second working holiday visa, you need to basically do something, a job that Australia needs help with. It's kind of an exchange, if you can call it. So you do a remote work somewhere on a farm, or you can work in a bar or pub or anything. Just remote when they need workers, and then you have everything you need to apply for your second working holiday visa. So I went to a very small town. Oh God, I don't even want to name it. It was definitely a weird life experience. I'm very grateful for doing farm work. I did mine for 4 months, and it just gave me so much gratitude for any job I do today. Like, if you haven't done farm work, if you haven't done it in a tropical climate, you have no clue how hard it is. It is intense. I remember waking up and we were going to the farm, starting work around 5, 6 in the morning. It was like 2 weeks before Christmas. I was at the end of my days that I was collecting to apply for this visa. And it was 7 a.m. in the morning. We had a temperature over 40 degrees. And I think the humidity, is that how you pronounce it? Yep. It was above 90%. And they were playing Jingle Bells from the tractor. And I'm like, this is so surreal. Like, being in Sweden, I'm raised with snow around Christmas, minus degrees, frozen lakes. And I was like, this is so surreal. And we were picking eggplants at the moment, or cucumber, I think. No, eggplants and passion fruit. And you, honestly, I'm sorry for this image, but you are sweating in places you did not know you can sweat in at 7 a.m. in the morning. And you are orange because of the dirt in Australia. It's very orange. So it's like a bad fake tan all over you.
Yeah, it is dusty out there.
It is. And it was just, but I'm very humble for the experience, and I'm very grateful for the farm that I end up on. But basically, just to cut this, to sum it up a little bit, to recap, you need to do a job that they need help with. So I did 88 days of farm work.
Yeah, no, that's good. I did 3 days, so I was pretty close.
I did 3 months in 3 or 4 months in total, I think.
Well, fair play to you, because like I say, I lasted 3 days on a coal farm, which was like, oh God, I don't know, it was about 13 hours outside of Brisbane. So you went on like a Greyhound, and then they picked you up and drove a further 2 hours into the middle of nowhere. Like, Australia is so huge, it's ridiculous. So you do a 13-hour bus drive, and then you do like a 2-hour drive in a car, and you're still like not seeing anyone for hours or houses or anything. It's just nuts. So we arrive on this coal farm, where apparently I was going to have a nice a nice large size caravan that I was to stay in, and we were to just work on the coal farm, right? But she didn't give me many details, I must admit. But so I turned up to this coal farm. It was late. It was really nice. The sun was going down. I was like, this is nice, man. I can do this anyway. I was then shown to my humble caravan, which now I'm not a tall guy, but this caravan, in me standing up in it, I could literally, my head was nearly touching the ceiling. So I don't know where they got this caravan, right? My bed was literally a bit of wood that I'd put my sleeping bag on, which I was worried that I was going to be eaten by something out there, right? So I then go to bed, get waken up at like, I think it's about 5 a.m, and we go out. And my job was literally to put wood in this big hole, and they'd just coat it in like a flammable liquid. We'd then light it and cover it over with sheet metal, and it would burn off. And then you'd go over to these other, and you'd go around, there'd be like loads of pits, and you'd go around lighting them all. And then you'd go off to the other pits, which are like far away, and you'd take the tops off and you'd dig up this coal. That would then get put on this like vibrating machine that would break it up into chunks of coal. People would then just push it into a bag. And my job was to clip on a new bag and take it off. So there's like 8 bags along, and you clip it on, fill up the bag, take it off. Now, each bag was 20 kilos. Now, look, I can lift a reasonable amount of weight, but doing that all day in, like you say, like ridiculously high heat, right? You couldn't hear anything. These machines are so loud. You just had like ear protectors on. After a while, lifting off this bag off a spike and piercing him back on 20 kilos over and over and over, and then you'd walk it and stack it. I do not quarrel in admitting that it beat me down, and I was like, this ain't worth it. This is not worth it. I was like, I'm going back to city life. So I lasted 3 days. 3 days.
That is crazy. I never heard you told the story before, actually. Were you alone on the farm, or was it more back?
No, yeah, there was me and 2 other guys, and then the lady and gentleman that owned the farm. But it just, I was just like, I knew that I wouldn't have been able to do that for 88 days. So I was like, this is like, I'm not going to get the second year. And also because of where it was like, again, I'm not a tall guy. So it was quite an awkward height to keep clipping it off and taking it off. So by the second day, I already had a shoulder injury that was just really hurting every time. So I was like, look, my body is not going to do well with this. So I was like, I'm out.
At least you're being honest to yourself. Like, you could have tried something else, but it sounds like, I know you were very like question if you should do it in the first place. I guess that was just the final drop for you. Yeah,
if I was like, if I had given it more time, because I would encourage everyone to get their second year, because Australia is just amazing. But if I had more time, I would have picked the farm better, and I would have done my farming. But I think because as well, there wasn't just me. We were thinking about others as well on the trip. And all of us had jobs at different times and stuff. And we had said, look, if one of us is out of work, the others will look after each other.
Oh, that's very kind of you.
So we had that unit that we couldn't just up and leave each other. We said we wouldn't, and I stick to my word, and I said I wouldn't do that, and they stick to their word as well. So yeah, for that reason. And it was only during the end where it was me and Martin left, because Mitchell had met a girl halfway around, and they decided to try a relationship with each other. So they both went home together, well, separate times, but to be together. So Martin had a job at the time, and I was like, right, I feel, he's in a place that he knows, and I felt comfortable that I could go off and try it, but I was just like, no, this isn't for me.
No. That's fair play. I guess when it comes to farm work, there are different ways you can do it, and you and I had different experience because you lived on the farm. I lived in a working hostel. So basically, before we went to bed in the evening, there was a list of what farm you would be going to in the morning. And if you're lucky, you stay to the same farm, or if you're unlucky, you got sacked. Depends how hard work you put in. They were
Yeah,
brutal.
I guess that's nice because you've got a nice collective of people around you to keep you going and stuff. Like, say,
Yeah.
I had two other guys I was with, and they'd been there for a while, and they were traveling together, so they were close with each other, like me and my other two mates out there. So, and like I say, they were staying in a separate place to me, so I was literally get up early, go out, and then you couldn't talk all day because you had your headphones in. Now I like a talk, so, and then when you came home, I went to my caravan, they went to their thing, and that was sort of it, really. So I was just like, after I'd been so social in the hostels and stuff, I always like to talk to everyone. I think it just wasn't for me.
Yeah, I would definitely not have survived those months if it weren't for the social group I had. Like, because we were all in the same situation. We lived in this absolutely horrendous hostel with the most mean owner that you will ever meet. It's he's not a good person. Let's just put it that. He's just not a good person. And the hard work and some of the really bad experience that we had on the farms, because not all farmers are sweet. Like, of course, is their income is what they survive on, but some of them takes kind of advantage from us backpackers. I was lucky; my farm was so good and so sweet, but we were drinking all evening, we were working all day, we went out, we had a little town, we went to the beach on the weekends. So yeah, it wouldn't be the same without the people I was with. That is, some of them I'm still in contact with today, years later, and it was just a really cool experience. I would not do it again, but it was a really cool experience.
So I think that's a good point, because obviously it gave you a second year, and that was awesome. You later obviously went on to doing studies and that, which we can talk about in a bit. But I think it's good to speak with other travelers. As Evelina makes a great point, saying not all farms are good. They're really not. And you need to sort of do your research like anything. Find out who's saying, yeah, these farms are nice, and that. Try your hardest to get on those ones if that's what you want to do when you're out there and get your second year. If you're on a farm and it's not good, don't feel bad to leave.
No, you don't own them anything.
No. If they've got you there on false promises and they're treating you bad, just leave. I know it's going to be a bit awkward in that, but just leave.
Yeah, I heard some horrendous stories as well. People leaving in the middle of the night because they've been literally scared. And I think that's one thing I do not like with the whole process of getting a second year in Australia. There is not many resources of what you should do if you end up on a bad farm. Like, I had my first farm job because, as I said, I work in a hostel, so they were sending us out. And the first week I went to this zucchini farm, and they never paid us. We got paid nothing for the work we did, but then the little amount that I gather, I never saw anything of. And a year later, I realized there is actually a a government site where you can complain and do, like, I don't know, take it to court and stuff. And I didn't know that, and I did not have any evidence. But if I knew that from the start, I would have gathered all those evidence and just helped other backpackers by putting them down, or I don't know. Does that make sense?
I think it's like anything. You can get good and bad in everything. Problem is, when you're in the middle of nowhere, it can be a bit more of a pain to sort out. So what I would say, and tell me if you disagree or not, I'd say if you're going to do a farm and you're not confident on your own, going in the middle of nowhere, either speak to other travelers that will be able to tell you whether it's a good farm or not, or look to go to a farm with someone else.
Exactly. I agree.
But again, if it's not good, up and leave. I was comfortable going on my own to this farm, and I wasn't comfortable, so I left. And yes, it was awkward. They didn't speak to me the whole way back, and that's fine. I understand. But at the same time, I still feel that what they had told me wasn't what they actually wanted me to do, and therefore I will stick by, well, that's you're not happy with me and I'm not happy with you, but let's just separate and go our different ways. But you know, it is what it is. In when you're a traveler anywhere, I think you can always meet sort of the people. You'll meet fantastic people. You meet so many fantastic people, but you'll also meet the odd person who's trying their luck.
Exactly. And that is fine. In the end, it gives you some life experience, and I know more today what when it's time to walk away, or my rights and all that.
100%. You got to know yourself. And I look, I know people who, I know this guy from Ireland, and he was over there with his girlfriend, and we met him in the hostel, and he was working for this Australian guy, and they used to go around and they used to do like DIY bits and things like that. And I remember he used to come home and he'd tell me about his day, and I thought, God, he's right working for some rogue trader. Anyway, so it got like a bit, he owed him a bit of money, and he was like, yeah, just go and do this job for me and then come round mine and I'll pay you. So he went round and did this job where he was literally spraying off, what's the stuff that you're not allowed in your roof that makes you sick? I've forgotten the name. Asbestos, right?
Yeah.
This guy had taken this roof off that was asbestos and scattered it all over someone's house and sent my mate round to clean it up, right? So he's there, and I couldn't believe it. I'm sitting on the front of this truck, right, just watching him spray asbestos off with a hose, because we're like, what the hell? And I'm like, look, I ain't getting involved. This ain't nothing to me. I'm just sitting there loving life in the sun, thinking this poor person with asbestos all over their house because this rogue trader. My mate, who's now having to spray it off with a hose. Anyway, so we then go around to his house to pick up the money, which he owed him a couple of weeks at this time. The house was empty. The guy had gone. He was completely gone.
Oh my days.
He was just gone. He'd up to the left. So my point is, you will meet those people whether you're in the sticks or whether you're in the city. They're there. But that kind of makes it what it is. It's the character. You're going to meet these people, and it will give you your stories, and that will make you laugh in the future.
Yes, that is so true. I have this thing with my friends down here in Spain at the moment. Some just random moments. I'm like, I feel like it's time for Evelina backpacker story right now. They're like, oh dear, what she's gonna bring up this time? Because you have so many stories and you meet so many people that have their own stories, and I don't know, it's just the funniest thing. Like, this experience has been life changing, and the things I can bring up, you wouldn't even like believe what I can, like the stories I heard or what I've been through myself. It's just hilarious, some of the things.
Well, I can believe, unfortunately,
Because you were there.
not unfortunately, fortunately. But so look, we've said to people how they can find information to get there, about getting the visas and stuff, about farm work if they want to extend. Let's also, how about we talk about quickly just where they would go if they're just looking for a general city job. Best places.
Yeah. Maybe you can start with saying, which one is your favorite city?
Brisbane was mine. I loved Brisbane. I know a lot of travelers don't like it. They find it boring, but I found it so clean and tidy. I love South Bank. I love the atmosphere. I loved the hostel that we were in, the people that we were there with. Shout out to staying in a hostel in Brisbane for literally like 7 months, 6 months.
Yeah. Shout out to Somewhere to Stay.
Somewhere
West End.
to stay. West End, Australia. Absolutely loved the guy. Loved the place. And just had an amazing time. Now, I won't lie. When me and Martin and Mitchell turned up to Somewhere to Stay, we were really tired. We didn't really know what was going on. I remember we just looked at this place and we were just a bit like, what's going on here? And it was really quiet. It wasn't busy, so there wasn't really any atmosphere. And like I say, we were super, super, super tired, okay?
Did you come before me to the hostel?
Don't think so, no.
But didn't you come before me, then you left, and when you come back, I was there?
No, no, no. You were there the first time as well, because Sarah's.
Mm, yeah, I was there first then. Yeah.
So I remember we turned up and they looked at me and we'd also, just so you know, guys, if you want to find hostels or anything, it's really easy now. Go on Hostel Finder. You get it on your apps and that now. Everyone will review it. It'll give you prices. You can book in advance. You don't even have to turn up and see if they've got room. You just do it all on your phone. However, we had found it on this site at the time, and it had great reviews and stuff. So we turned up and we were just a bit like, oh, underwhelmed. But I stress again, we were very tired. Now, we had the best time there. The best time. So my point is, don't go on first assumptions. You could think it's not going to be what you want, and it turns out to be literally the making of the trip, because we met so many good people there.
Yeah.
We had such an awesome time that when we finished our tour, we did a tour of 3 months. When we finished our tour, we went back to somewhere to stay because we just had such fond memories of it to finish off our last day of work before we went home.
The people there, we were just the biggest group of friends. It was, yeah, it's the best hostel. My like one top favorite experience in Australia for sure. The time and the people in that hostel.
Yeah, 100%. Had a great time there. And the great thing as well is that hostel also will have people call up and offer jobs. So if you get friendly with the staff, they will let you know when jobs just call up for like odd days and things like that. So that's another place to find work. You can also have the option to work in the hostel as cleaners. You can clean the kitchen. All of them offer different rates and different perks and things like that. But it's, again, an option if you're struggling to find work, then that is sort of the place. But for me, I would recommend, very simply, seek.com for jobs in Australia.
Yeah, that was so good. Life's changing.
Which, if you're in UK, it's a bit like Indeed. And if you're in Sweden, what would it be, Evelina?
I'm going to say it in Swedish. Arbetsförmedlingen.
My favorite site. So they're the 2 places you can find them in Sweden and London. And like I say, in Australia, I would say Seek. I would also say Gumtree is quite good for sort of random work. And also, they're quite good at actually having people just enter shops and give your CV out, especially for like restaurants.
If you are, because when I lived in Australia, I worked in hospitality industry. And if you have experience in that industry, or if you're just a hard worker and want to get into hospitality, then just dress up, look a little bit presentable, print out some CVs and just go from place to place. Because when it comes to bar and restaurants, I've been in that industry now I left it now, but I've been in the industry for 7 years, and they get so many CVs that they don't even bother to put out an application most of the times. So just walking from place to place, and that's how I got every job in Australia. I just took a whole day, maybe even 3 days at maximum, and I just walked into every single bar and restaurant. You just applied.
Yeah, I think it's good advice. It's good.
Because you put yourself out there, you're going to stick out. Otherwise, they're going to read from a paper, or they're going to see you, your personality, and how you present yourself. And you're going to stick out because you put a little extra effort in. So you just walk around. And I've never been to a country where you can find jobs that easy. Because in Sweden, it's a big process. It's the longest, most out-dragging process ever. It is so many rules. But in Australia, even in London, just walk around. Just walk from place to place, show your face, be friendly, and you're probably going to get a trial.
Yeah, I agree. It depends on what jobs you go for. If you go for like your front-facing jobs and stuff, then you'll be up in, like I say, interviews with 30 people, stuff like that.
Yeah, this is hospitality only, I would say.
Yeah, no, I agree. The great thing about traveling as well is you can apply for jobs wherever you like. As long as you're willing to move, guess what? You can get on a plane the next day and shoot out. Say you're in Brisbane, you can shoot down to Melbourne, you can shoot down to Australia, shoot down to Sydney, sorry. But you can't think of it the same way as like if you're looking for a job here, where you're like, oh, I want to be in a certain area, I don't want to travel this far. Guess what? In Australia, you're not the same person. Well, you are, but you're not living the same life. You're living a different life, and embrace it, make the most of it. If you get a job offer in Melbourne, be willing to get up and go to it.
Yeah, exactly. Step outside your comfort zone and just go with it. That's how you learn better who you are and your limits and whatnot. It's just, yeah, it's been such an experience.
I love that place. Love Australia. I'm definitely going to be going back 100%.
What would you go? What do you miss the most? What area or place or?
I would love to just go back to Brisbane and see what it's
Mm.
like 10 years later. So in 2024, I'll probably go back over and have a little look. But I'd look to go for, I've got a few things that I've set for the business plans for the next 4 years, and hopefully I'll be at that point by the time, and then I'll be able to be a bit freer to go over there and check it out.
If you were not looking to backpack in Australia, but just going for a holiday, what would be your top 3 places that people have to go and see?
Okay, so places that I've done that I'd recommend.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so obviously the Barrier Reef is one, 100%. Barrier Reef's one. You can't go there and not see Barrier Reef. I also would say, though, with a caveat, is the Whitsunday Islands are also a part of the reef, because obviously it's huge. And actually, some people will say that the snorkeling and that is less disruptive on the reef and the parts that they have, and it can actually be better around the Whitsundays. So either both of them, I kind of put them into one, or the Whitsundays will probably give you a more all-round, because you do that for like a 3-4 day trip on the boat, and you'll spend the days just snorkeling and playing on the beach and all stuff like that. I would also say Ayers Rock, because it is a big thing of Australia. There's a lot of culture to it, the stories and the history about it I find really interesting. I loved all that. I loved going to see it. When we went there, it was actually raining. Not hard, but just a little bit. And the guy said, you know, you're kind of lucky because not many people get to see it like this. So I found that really cool. And also we did a great white shark dive down in Port Lincoln that I thought was amazing, even though I spent pretty much the entire time heading out to do it, puking on the boat.
So you got seasick, did you?
Terrible seasickness, literally, right? We started off, it was all so calm and tranquil. The next thing, and I kid you not, we were going up the waves. We were coming off the wave where you like could feel you were in the air for a minute, and then you just got like this massive boom, and it would knock you off your feet. Now, you think I'm exaggerating. Even the crew were puking. Even the crew were puking, and the guy, like the skipper, said, "This is bad," because normally the crew don't puke. So
I would not survive that. I get terrible seasickness even on still water.
we didn't really have a choice at that point, I must admit. It got worse though, so I was really looking forward. I remember sitting on this boat, right? I remember sitting there, and I could feel this sick coming in. I was like, Luke, keep it together, man. You got this, right? So I'm keeping it together. I'm keeping cool. I'm like, okay, here it comes. Right. So next thing, I'm in this toilet getting smashed around and just vomiting everywhere. But it's okay because the floor is like this meshing, which everyone else had puked on. So it's all pretty grim. And I remember coming out of that bathroom. I'd been in there just violently being sick, and I was looking at mine and I was just thinking, you're so smug, and in my head I was just looking at him thinking, puke. And we've been
That is so mean. And like having this terrible experience before you going into a cave with sharks, like
worse. Right. So I'm sitting there thinking, puke, and within about 20 minutes mine starts puking. I'm just sitting there thinking, this is a good day, right? So he starts and I'm thinking, this is a great day, and I'm like, all right, mate. He comes out like acting all caring, but really I've been sending these vibes on him all day, like the last 20 minutes, saying puke. Right, so we get to the point where we like settle down to see the sharks, and it's really quite calm, and we get pulled out of a hat who's going to go in first, right? Now, I never get picked first for anything. But this time I got picked first, right? And I had been so sick that I just didn't feel good. Now we're putting a wetsuit on, which is super tight, obviously, because the water's cold down there. Putting a wetsuit on, and it was so tight on my chest, I thought I was going to pass out, right? So I'm like, oh, I can't do this. So I said to Mike, it's like, Mike, do you want to take my spot? He's like, I don't think I can, right? So I'm like, right. So I'm climbing into this cage, just thinking, oh God, Luke, just keep it together, don't drown, right? And so I'm climbing into this cage, and out of nowhere, this wave came and hit the cage, right?
Oh dear.
Which smashed the cage into the back of the boat, right? Which made underwater a horrendous bang. And I looked behind me just to see bubbles, right? I could see no boat, just bubbles. And just for a split second, I generally thought the cage had come off the back of the boat, and I thought I was going down.
Oh,
And I was just like, I don't have time for this. So that was my experience with swimming with sharks. And then, do you know what? A shark came along not too long after, and it was like instantly, boom, this is great. And you just weren't thinking about it. And it was just amazing.
but after that story, I don't think you sold it to anyone.
However, they also put on a fantastic lunch.
Could you even eat it?
No, I didn't. And I was so annoyed because it was like prawns and salmon, and I love seafood. So I didn't touch any of it because I was so scared that I was going to spend the rest of the trip on the way back puking again. Now, I was so annoyed because Martin's tucked in. I thought, you git. Right? So he tucked in and he was like, you're not having any? I was like, nah. That's because I was too scared I was going to be sick again, right?
And that's not nice to be sick on seafood.
I know, and I'm a dramatic sicker, you know, those people who really scream about it. But I've lately tried to tone it down a bit. But I was just thinking, you're going to pay for this, and I was back to thinking, I hope this, right? And poor Martin, and it was as calm as anything on the way home.
Yeah. Oh well, I'm glad you had your sunset experience at the end of it, even if it was quite rough at the start.
I was gutted. How about you? What are your three? What would you advise?
My top 3 places you should go to in Australia. First of all, Melbourne. You need to go to Melbourne. I know there's a little bit of a rival against Sydney versus Melbourne, but I'm a proper foodie. I love food in all forms and shapes, and I just feel like Melbourne is the perfect place for that. The culture, the coffee culture, the food culture is just. I even dream about coffee in Melbourne sometimes. Like, you just have to go. I'll say top 1. It is definitely Melbourne.
I was spend a lot of time in Melbourne, but I do hear it is really, really good.
Did you go at all? Just a little bit.
We did, but we literally had 50 cents left in our pocket, and we'd been Martin had been offered a job in Brisbane, so we were like, look, it's a safe bet. Let's go back to Brisbane.
Yeah, you don't get a coffee for 50 cents. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I heard it was really good though. So I if I went back, it'd be somewhere I'd definitely like to spend some more time in.
Yeah. No, I recommend that. My second pick will probably be, even if I love Brisbane, I recommend people to go there. It's just, for me, the people made the place. I can't tell how we would be without them, but I would probably say Byron Bay. I just think that's such a cool, chill place. It's beautiful. It's quite hippie. It's by the beach. Yeah, Byron Bay. It's amazing.
Good one. Again, see, this is the thing. There's so many good things in Australia to do that you get, and we got to do a lot, but there's still so many things that I didn't even get to go to Byron Bay, and I was in Brisbane for like 6-7 months. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you have to go. Next time you go to Byron Bay. I can give you some good places to visit. But my third pick, it's quite. Let's take not a place. Like, I want to go a little bit in the direction that you did and do a more experience. I would say my third pick would be, obviously, you already said the Barrier Reefs. I'm not going to say that. So I'm going to say you should be skydiving outside Perth. It's breathtaking up in the air outside Perth. You have this Asian vibe, white beaches and like turquoise ocean. It's just stunning. I even saw dolphins from the air.
Okay, you lost me. So that was a. I am not jumping out of a perfectly good plane. You had me until then.
Why?
Because I'm not tall. I'm not meant to be high, Evelina. You know this. Anything over 5'8", I get vertigo.
I'm not tall either. And I'm so afraid of heights. Like, I'm a person that almost cry when I drive over a bridge. But up in the sky, it's so surreal. It's like you're hanging from the ceiling with a fan in your face and this big billboard kind of in the background. You're like, am I doing this? Am I really here? But it was amazing. That was a very funny story as well. Can I finish off with my skydive story?
Of course you can.
Or should we
I
leave
want
it
to hear.
as a cliffhanger to
What
next
is
time?
the skydive story? I want to hear it. We want to hear it.
Okay, let's go. So I lived in Brisbane at the time, and I flew to Perth to visit a friend of mine. And we were going out. He showed me this really good tequila and Mexican bar in Perth. And, just getting drunk on tequila, as you do, would be rude not to. And he's like, we're going to go skydiving. Kind of forgot to tell me. I haven't planned much. I'm like, yeah, I'm in, as you would say, drunk on tequila. So the day after, we woke up quite sore. Like, yeah, we were quite hangover, and we have to drive out to this place. I think it's called Jern Bay. I can't really pronounce it, to be honest, but I think it's called Jern Bay. And on our way to this place, like, if you haven't heard much about Perth, it's a very isolated city. It's the most isolated city in the world, I think. So when you drive out of it, there is nothing, literally nothing. If you don't fill up your car with petrol, you're screwed. And we were driving out, both hangover, and on this road out to this skydiving place, literally, we got all the signs in the world saying you should not be doing this. I think we saw 2 crashed and burning cars. We saw so many dead kangaroos. Our car got overheated. Luckily, I had a little bit of water left so we could top it up and survive. We both were hangovers, as I said, and it was just, it was all the signs of you're probably gonna die today. But anyhow, we made it. We met up with a few friends there as well. We got ourselves ready to go up in the air. We booked 1 minute of free fall as well, and we picked the highest to jump from. Because if you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it real. So we did
Yeah.
that.
I'm here to my chair whilst you talk.
It was so good. And our friends have to go in a different plane because it's such a small plane. And when I'm nervous, I talk a lot. And my friend, he's the other way around. He was just quiet. And I don't want to I don't want to throw him under the bus, but he's an ex-army, been working in Africa and everything for the UK military. And he was white, like he was so scared. And I was just talking away, being the weird Swedish person that I am. And I was sitting next to this guy who's going to be my buddy when we're jumping out. And my friend looked at him. His name is Dave. So Dave looked at this skydiving instructor and be like, mate, why are you not wearing any shoes? And he's like, well, I sold my shoes for some cocaine before. And I found it hilarious. I was just laughing. And my friend Dave, he's like, it's not fucking funny, mate. But we were going up in the air. I was talking away. He was just staring out through the window, thinking this is the end of life. And because we're going the highest of everyone, so we stopped somewhere, or we kind of slowed down. Few people jump off. We went further up. Few people jump off. We went at the top. It was just me and him left, and I was the last one to go out. So my friend, I can see him strapped against this big dude, like pushing him out of the plane and like just disappearing in the nowhere. And it was my turn, and I was buckled up with this guy without shoes. That's just told them for cocaine apparently. And we were going out, and like when your feet hanging off that plane and you see nothing except air, you don't think, you don't have a minute of thinking, because this guy is doing this all the time. He's not going to let you hesitate, and you have no choice of hesitating because he's going to just jump. So you just hold on. He's jumping around. We flew out in the air, and as I said, we did 1 minute of free fall, and you don't know what is up, what is down, who you are, where you're at. It is freezing cold, and if you're going to do skydiving, I do not recommend the free fall, because I thought that was horrendous. It was not fun at all. I didn't enjoy a single bit out of it. But as soon as we stabilized ourselves, we put the parachute out, and we were just floating, and it was so cool. And he let me steer a little bit. I can see this beautiful scenery, and we saw dolphins and everything. And within a few seconds, it felt like there was no time at all. He's like, okay, put your feet down. He's like, I'm going to count down to 10, have your feet down, and boom, we were standing at the beach. And I was like, what did just happen? It was so strange. And my friend Dave, he come running towards me. He's like, we survived, wanted to hug me, and I'm screaming out, I saw dolphins.
Well, I feel like I feel like maybe we haven't done the best at selling these two things.
the whole skydive without the free fall, I highly recommend. It's stunning, but the free fall, no, ain't doing it again.
I feel like if I was in that position and I wasn't able to hold on to some part of the plane that would stop us from falling out, and they managed to get me out the door, I feel like I probably would accidentally urinate myself, which would then flow up into my face and the guy holding the parachute, which at that point he'd be like, right, this guy has peed in my face and I've got nothing left to and at that point he's just going to crash us anyway.
But you know what, kind of something like that with body fluids happened, because one of our friends was jumping before us. When she was jumping out, she was crying and screaming because she made a bet with her dad, and she booked that extra where you can film everything. So the instructor had this video camera, so he's filming you in the scenery. And because she was crying and screaming so much, I'm not sure if I can say this without laughing. She had a piece of snot coming out.
Oh.
And it was in her face for like a solid 3-4 minutes, just like flapping around in the wind.
Oh, don't. That's grim. That's good. That would probably something that would happen to me though.
Yeah, and because we got a video, you go to the pub across where you do the skydive, and you can watch the video. So we watched all those 3 people's video. I didn't get a video, Dave didn't either, but the 3 other people did. So we watched their video. So not only did we see this horrendous story of hers, everyone at the pub saw it as well.
Oh,
while enjoying their cider or beer or whatever.
that's not okay.
It's so funny. But you know what? We both recommended a city. We both recommended some classic Australians places to go to. And we both recommended some experience or more adventure you can do in Australia. I think we can wrap it up there.
I've got one more we got to do.
Okay, go on.
So, like anywhere when you go on holiday, food is a big thing. Now, obviously, the prices that you will pay will vary differently, like if you go to any city. Now, a lot of people say to me, oh, well, Australia is really expensive. And I'm like, yeah, but you get paid a lot in Australia as well. And I always put it in example of, if your minimum wage in Australia is normally you're going to get more than $20 an hour, right? I worked in a store that paid me Monday to Friday. I got paid $24.95. Now that was sort of your minimum, right? Now if you went to Macca's, for example, you get a meal and a drink large for like $10, right? Now if obviously you're in the UK and you're working on minimum wage, you would get a large meal at Macca's, but you wouldn't really have any change left. Whereas in Australia, you'd still have $10, $12, right? So yes, things are
Yeah.
seen.
Can I just put a note in there? If anyone's listening to this and they are Swedish, Macca's is McDonald's, basically.
Ah, yeah. Well, so my point is, yes, if you're going there on a holiday, it can seem quite expensive because obviously it seems more. But if you're living there, actually, it's quite good. But I would recommend your small local restaurants for a good value eat,
100%.
especially if you're in Brisbane. Was it Boundary Street?
Yeah, Boundary Street.
Chinese shop? Oh my God. I love that.
And they have so many good backpacker deals as well. If you look around,
Oh,
I remember we got this $2 Corona Sundays, or you got in Cairns, we had like a vouchers from the hostel when we got either a $2 meal, a $4 meal, or a $6 meal. And you can pick different things around that.
A lot of the hostels will do it. Also, a lot of, like local cafes and that will say like come in for a coffee, get a free bit of cake and stuff. And they'll put those sort of things up on hostel deals, especially like new cafes and that, to make the cafe look busy to locals so that people come in and stuff. So we used to go and get a lot of cake and stuff from places.
You can do, I think it's a website called Last Table as well, where you can literally, or First Table, so you can get a discount if you go to certain restaurants and you book beforehand and you're gone before they get busy, but just because they want to fill up as well, as you said. It's called First Table. Great.
You just got to embrace that. It's a different way of life, and you're gonna absolutely love it if you decide to go. However, I feel like I have to make you aware that I stayed in hostels the whole time when I was there, and I'd highly recommend it. It's the greatest way to meet loads of people and be connected with different people. I love that I came home and I could, in the kitchen whilst cooking dinner, speak to people from all over the world. I love that. However, be aware that if you are sharing a room with people, multiple people, that you may be involved in some things that you didn't expect to be involved with.
No, just I would say get earplugs. You need earplugs.
Earplugs, but what if they're in your bunk? That's all I'm saying.
Well, no, nothing. It's just gonna be part of the experience. Unfortunately, it's like the diving or the diving experience Luke had, or my skydiving experience. Is just some parts you will not enjoy, but embrace it, and I would never do it again.
I'll be honest. I bought a speaker for my bed, right? And I had it like strapped to my bunk bed because we were there for a long time. And when everyone was say like, let's say if anyone was having naughties, we'll say naughties, right? I would play songs to the rhythm of their bunk bed.
Oh my God, you are terrible. For anyone who haven't backpacked and you don't really get what we're talking about, don't worry about it. You're not missing out.
You will know.
We're just gonna leave it that. It's gonna be the secret. Backpacker's secret.
You'll know if you go and live in a hostel for a year.
Yeah.
Well, it's time to wrap it up. Oh, we did put questions up for you guys, and we will put questions up about the different topics that we have coming up. And you can ask us your questions and we will answer them on the show. So technically this is the part where we answer questions, and I can tell you, guess how many questions we have?
Ooh, enlighten me.
0.
I think that's expected. It's the second episode. I just spoke before we jumped on my Instagram about this. So if you guys want to get involved, if you want to be part of our, I don't know, catch up, chat, coffee conversations, then just send a question over and we will talk about it. And as you can tell, we are not taking any of the good bits out. We are being fully honest and full on in this show. So ask away whatever you want to know about us, about the topic we're going to speak about. Just ask away and we're going to answer it.
100%. And we will take the mick out of ourselves. So if there's no questions, we're going to tell you guys.
Yeah, we're just gonna be those awkward people that are gonna write the question ourselves.
We will also tell you when someone calls myself, not Evelina, cringe, Martin. But
I feel
I don't
like
know.
Martin is a part of this show now. Well done.
I don't know if I can take Martin's thing. He's got a little bit of a drink problem. A little bit of a drink problem, but we're not talking about it.
Everyone's gonna wonder who's Martin now. We're just gonna leave him as a. Should we leave him like I don't know, a sidekick to the show or something? He's our number one cheerleader.
Martin will be coming on the show at one point because later on down the line, we do want to get people on who have their own businesses, who are starting their own businesses, who are into fitness, so we can talk to other people. So I have spoken with Martin, and he will be coming on at some point in the future.
Yes, get excited, guys.
So anyone who we know of friends who have got their own businesses, who know me or Evelina, then please do reach out to us, because at some point we're going to be coming up with shows where we have you guys on and we want to speak to you about your businesses and why you got started and things like that. So please do send us a message, because we will be wanting those things in the future.
Yeah, 100%. But I think that's all for today. We've been covering the topic of Australia. And this is the second episode. As always, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to leave a comment. Follow me at Health by Evelina on Instagram. Follow Luke at. This is the point when you're gonna say your Instagram handle.
I was going to see if you were going to get it right.
No.
You can find me at Luke Bradley on Instagram.
Yeah, and of course our own podcast Instagram. You have the 20 into 30 podcast on Instagram. Tag along, follow, engage, share this if you like it, and send us some feedback and some questions. Don't be a stranger in the end.
100%. And guys, remember, check out our YouTube channel, subscribe and click on the bell. We're going to be uploading every Monday morning. Okay, so join us for a chat and we will be back next week.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. Take care, and we'll speak to you next week.
Take care, guys. Have a great day.